Hello, it's great to be back on here. I actually just got back from taping a television show. It was a pretty cool show called City Praise TV, and they had me on talking about my involvement in helping performers and ministers, and also they went over my background, what I've done before. But the most important thing that I was there was to plug my involvement in this event called the Exalt Talent Showcase, and it's an event of amazing talent, and they have it once a year. I usually end up coaching the top 10 finalists. This year they had a top 12 for me to coach, and the event is going to be in October. I'm going to post more information if you're in the area. It would be something that you do not want to miss, because the talent there is top notch, and like I said, it's for an incredible cause. I've gotten a lot of contact with the Dream Chasers, and they have written me, or they've called me, or they've even hit me on social media, and they've all had basically the same idea or the same thing that they want to know, which is, how do I compete in my field? How do I become the best that I can be? And while we talked about patience, last week, and patience is something that you have to have in your calling, or you beat yourself up a lot and you miss opportunities by not having patience. But at the same time, you do have to develop and master the talent that you have. And so what we're going to go over next in these next couple of videos, in next couple of emails, is going to be how to develop that talent and how to master that talent. And you have so many ways to do that now. We're in a day and age that you have so many how-to videos and blogs that you can look up, and you can find out how to do anything. I've used this myself in my public speaking and in my singing for vocal coaching techniques, and I found how to properly prepare a speech. Also through YouTube became familiar with Toastmasters, which taught me a lot in my public speaking and has given me an avenue to practice before I go out to some of my events and speak. And it's also helped me with some of my television interviews. And I would say, out of the video avenues out there, my favorite, of course, is the search engine YouTube. It's the second biggest search engine out there. And you can learn so many how-to things on that. And it can range from, like the things that I was telling you about with understanding my craft, but also you can learn about e-commerce software. You can learn about social media platforms and how to use them correctly. And there are a lot of blogs out there as well that talk about these things. Another video avenue that I like, we used to use it when I was in television to actually train camera people and train editors, and it's called lynda.com, and that's spelled Lynda.com. And there's usually a small subscription price for that, but it's very small, and it's definitely worth it for the information that you can get off of there. And I've learned that in some areas, including here in Charlotte where I am, that if you have a public library card, you can actually get lynda.com for free, and it's definitely worth checking out. So check with your local library on that. And my son, I'll tell you an example with him. I have a son that actually used online tools, how-to blogs and videos to learn about web design and video production and television production, and that's what he does for a living now. That's his full-time job, and he learned it just by going on there and checking the how-tos, and then he started putting into practice, putting it into action, and he started to develop his craft, and he's on his way to mastering it, and his goal ultimately is to be, a Hollywood filmmaker, and he's well on his way from all the techniques that he's learned just by looking it up himself. And I know that a lot of people, they will use these to find and develop their talent. Like if you're a singer, you can find techniques that can make you better. You can find out how to do vocal personality. If you're a public speaker, you can find out ways to cut down your filler words. You can find out ways to command a stage. If you are a musician, you can find so many extra influences and extra help just from these videos. However, any kind of stage or screen performer, it's not just enough now to have that talent and to go out and use that talent. Nowadays, unless you can hire some kind of marketing company, and if you can, they're worth it. Obviously, they're pros, they know what they're doing. But most up-and-coming dream chasers cannot do that. They don't just start that way. but they still don't have an excuse because now there's so many how-to videos on how to market. There's so many books out there. There's so many blogs out there. There's so much how-to instruction on how to use the social media platforms, on how to use e-commerce software, and how to put out a book or how to put out a CD, and how to have a better concert. There's so many ways out there that you can market yourself, and there's so many ways to learn that through these online how-tos. And so, like I said, having talent is just not enough anymore. You're in a world where anybody with a phone can try to be a star. And if I've heard people complain all the time that these people made it and they don't have talent, or they're not as talented as so-and-so, but they're a harder worker and they're willing to go do the research and they're willing to do everything it takes to not leave their career in somebody else's hand, because ultimately it's up to you. I used to say that in my seminars. I would have the crowd stand and I would say, I would have them repeat, if it is to be, it's up to me. And it may seem kind of cliche, but it's true. It's up to us to go after our callings. There are things that will be put in our way, but it's up to us to develop how to market, to develop that talent, and to make it visible so that people can see it. Otherwise, you might just, like they say, go the way of the dodo. People may never hear of you unless you take that in your hand. And then after you know some things, you'll know who the right company is to hire when you get to that level, and you can afford marketing help. Then you'll have a knowledge of who is the right person to work for you. The next thing that I'm going to cover on our next video is going to be about mentoring. I've been mentored by some of the best in music and public speaking and also television, and I've been able and had the privilege to mentor some people myself who are doing some great things. And I'm a big believer in mentoring because it's one-on-one priceless knowledge with people that have done some things that are incredible that you want to do yourself. And so we'll talk about that. But until then, just remember, dream chasers, the world needs you to dream. Thanks.